Welcome back, or if you're new, brace yourself. This is where we dissect the chaos of modern America. I'm TNR, your host, and today we're plunging into the political abyss, the top 3 issues tearing at the country's seams. We'll break down the partisan divide, the battle over voting rights, and the ever-widening wealth gap. Think of it as a political turducken, messy, layered, and hard to swallow. So, smash that like button, subscribe, and get ready for a wild ride through America's dysfunction. Let's dive in. First up, polarization. It's not just a buzzword, it's the defining feature of our era. The United States, once known for its ability to find common ground, now feels like a nation split into rival camps, each convinced the other is not just wrong, but dangerous. The lines aren't just drawn. They're carved deep, and crossing them can feel like an act of betrayal. America isn't just divided, it's entrenched in tribal warfare. Political identity has become a core part of who we are, shaping not just our votes, but our friendships, our families, and even our sense of self. The us versus them mentality is everywhere, and it's exhausting. Disagreement has morphed into demonization. It's no longer enough to disagree with someone's ideas. Now, we question their motives, their character, even their patriotism. The language of debate has been replaced by the language of war, and every conversation feels like a battle. The middle ground, a ghost town. Congress is paralyzed. Compromise is betrayal. Gridlock is the norm. Lawmakers are more worried about being called traitors by their own side than about solving real problems. The art of negotiation has been replaced by the art of obstruction. Media bubbles feed outrage, not information. We curate our news feeds to reinforce what we already believe, and algorithms make sure we rarely see the other side. Outrage is addictive, and the media knows it. So, they keep serving it up, 24/7. News is now team sports, not journalism. Anchors and pundits are more like cheerleaders and referees, hyping up their side and calling fouls on the opposition. Facts are filtered through partisan lenses, and the truth gets lost in the noise. Even your coffee order is a political statement. Everyday choices, where you shop, what you wear, what you post online, signal your allegiance. It's as if every aspect of life has been drafted into the culture war, and neutrality is no longer an option. We've weaponized everything, including pillows. Social trust is collapsing. The smallest disagreements can spiral into full-blown arguments, and even the most mundane products become symbols in a never-ending battle for cultural dominance. Neighbors become enemies, facts become optional, family dinners turn into shouting matches, and friendships dissolve over a single social media post. The idea of agreeing to disagree feels quaint. Now, it's agree or else. The system wasn't built for this level of animosity. Our institutions are straining under the weight of constant conflict, and the cracks are starting to show. The very foundations of democracy, trust, cooperation, respect, are eroding. Founders expected debate, not destruction. Policy suffers. The vision was for passionate disagreement, not scorched earth tactics. When every issue is a hill to die on, nothing gets done, and the country pays the price. Long-term solutions are impossible when every idea is DOA if it comes from the other side. Good ideas are discarded simply because of their source, and the cycle of dysfunction continues. The result? Short-term fixes, endless finger-pointing, and a growing sense of hopelessness. Language is weaponized. Words like socialist or patriot are just tribal signals now. Labels are used to divide, not describe. The words themselves lose meaning, becoming little more than badges of loyalty or targets for scorn. Public service? Only the shameless or furious need apply. The best and brightest are driven away by the toxic atmosphere, leaving only those willing to shout the loudest or endure the most abuse. The result is a government that reflects our divisions, not our hopes. Negative partisanship rules. It's not about loving your side, it's about hating theirs. Elections become contests of fear and resentment, not hope or vision. The goal isn't to build something better, but to stop the other side from winning at any cost. Every election is a lesser evil contest, and every new administration tries to erase the last. Progress is measured in inches, then rolled back in the next cycle. The pendulum swings wildly, and stability feels out of reach. The result: whiplash governance, eroding unity, and a democracy on the brink. The constant back and forth leaves everyone dizzy, and the sense of shared purpose that once defined America is slipping away. So how do we fix it? There are no easy answers. Healing starts with empathy, seeing the humanity in our opponents, listening instead of shouting, and remembering that disagreement doesn't have to mean destruction. Until we can do that, we're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, hoping the ship won't sink. Next, voting rights, the foundation of democracy, now a battlefield. The right to vote is often called the cornerstone of American freedom, but today, it's at the center of a fierce and deeply polarized debate. Across the country, millions of citizens line up at polling stations, each hoping their voice will count. Yet, the rules that govern who can vote, how they vote, and how those votes are counted, are more contested than ever before. One side pushes for easier access, automatic registration, early voting, mail-in ballots, election day as a holiday. They argue that democracy thrives when participation is high, and that every eligible citizen should have a simple, convenient path to the ballot box. For them, expanding access means breaking down barriers that have historically kept people from voting, whether it's long work hours, lack of transportation, or complicated registration processes. They see voting as a right, not a privilege, and believe the system should reflect that. The other side demands tighter rules, strict IDs, fewer drop boxes, purges, claiming fraud lurks everywhere. They insist that without strong safeguards, the integrity of elections is at risk. For them, every vote must be verified, every ballot secure, and every voter properly identified. They argue that even the perception of fraud can undermine public trust, and that strict rules are necessary to protect the legitimacy of the outcome. To them, security is paramount, even if it means some people find it harder to vote. But widespread fraud? Virtually non-existent. Study after study, and investigation after investigation have found that cases of voter fraud are exceedingly rare. The real fight isn't about security, it's about power, about who gets to shape the electorate and ultimately the future of the country. The rhetoric of fraud is often used as a tool to justify new restrictions, even when the evidence doesn't support the claims. New laws often make voting harder for working people, students, and minorities. These groups are more likely to face obstacles like limited polling hours, fewer voting locations, or strict ID requirements. For many, the process becomes a maze of paperwork, long waits, and uncertainty. The result? Lower turnout among those who already have less power, and a system that feels rigged against them. Gerrymandering lets politicians pick their voters, fueling extremism and polarization. By drawing district lines to favor one party, politicians can all but guarantee their own re-election, making it harder for new voices to break through. This practice distorts representation, leaving many voters feeling like their choices don't matter. It's a quiet, technical process with massive consequences for the health of democracy. Election workers face threats and harassment, undermining trust in the process. These are the people who make democracy work, often volunteers, working long hours to ensure every vote is counted. Yet, in recent years, they've become targets of anger, suspicion, and even violence. This climate of fear drives away experienced workers and makes it harder to run fair, efficient elections. Partisan audits and endless recounts aren't about accuracy. They're about sowing doubt. When losing sides refuse to accept results, they demand more reviews, more investigations, more delays. These tactics rarely change outcomes, but they do erode public confidence, making it harder for anyone to trust the final tally. When trust erodes, peaceful transfers of power are at risk. January 6th was a warning. The violence at the Capitol showed what can happen when large numbers of people believe the system is rigged against them. The peaceful transfer of power, a hallmark of American democracy, suddenly seemed fragile, threatened by misinformation and mistrust. The Supreme Court has weakened federal protections, leaving a patchwork of state rules. Once, the Voting Rights Act provided strong, nationwide standards. Now, states have more freedom to set their own rules, leading to confusion and inequality. Some states expand access, others restrict it, and the federal government's role is diminished. Your voting experience depends on your zip code. Some glide, others struggle. In some places, voting is quick and easy. In others, it's a test of endurance. The result is a nation where the right to vote is unevenly protected, and where geography can determine the strength of your voice. Both sides cloak their motives in principle, but it's a raw struggle for electoral advantage. Each party claims to defend democracy, but beneath the rhetoric, the real goal is to win. and to shape the rules in ways that help them do it. The battle over voting rights is as much about power as it is about principle. The real casualty? Faith in democracy itself. When people lose trust in the system, they disengage. They stop voting, stop believing, and stop participating. Democracy can't survive without the faith of its people. If we can't agree on the rules, the game falls apart. The future of American democracy depends on restoring trust, protecting access, and ensuring that every citizen's voice truly counts. Finally, economic inequality, the engine behind much of our dysfunction. It's the silent force shaping the lives of millions, influencing everything from where we live to how we dream about the future. In America, the gap between the haves and the have-nots has grown wider with each passing decade, creating a society where opportunity is increasingly determined by birth, not by merit or hard work. The top 1% owns more than the bottom 90%. This isn't just a statistic, it's a reality that plays out in neighborhoods across the country, where the ultra-wealthy live in gated communities while millions struggle to pay rent or afford basic necessities. The wealth gap is no longer just a talking point, it's a defining feature of modern American life. The middle class is vanishing. Once the backbone of the American economy, families who used to feel secure now face rising costs, stagnant wages, and the constant threat of financial instability. Small towns and suburbs that once thrived are now dotted with empty homes and shuttered businesses, symbols of a dream slipping away. Wages stagnate while the wealthy get richer, thanks to decades of policy choices favoring capital over labor. For most workers, paychecks have barely budged, even as productivity and corporate profits soar. Meanwhile, those at the top see their fortunes multiply, attending exclusive galas and living lives unimaginable to the average American. Money buys power, lobbying, think tanks, campaign donations. The wealthy use their resources to shape laws and regulations in their favor, ensuring that the system continues to work for them. Political influence is no longer about ideas. It's about access, and access is bought. Citizens United made it worse. The Supreme Court's decision opened the floodgates for unlimited corporate spending in politics, allowing the richest Americans and biggest companies to pour money into elections and policy battles. The voice of the average citizen is drowned out by a tidal wave of cash. The result? A feedback loop. Wealth begets influence, which begets more wealth. Political debate is skewed, with media and lawmakers often echoing the priorities of their wealthiest donors. The issues that matter most to ordinary people are sidelined, while the interests of the powerful dominate the agenda. Social programs are cut, but taxing the rich is radical. Proposals to expand healthcare, education, or housing assistance are dismissed as unrealistic, while tax breaks for the wealthy are passed with little debate. The idea of shared sacrifice has been replaced by a system that protects privilege at all costs. Economic anxiety fuels polarization and scapegoating, distracting from the real culprits. As people struggle to get by, frustration turns to anger, and politicians exploit these divisions for their own gain. Instead of addressing the root causes, we blame each other, deepening the rifts in our society. Inequality shows up everywhere: life expectancy, student debt, healthcare costs. In some regions, people can expect to live years less than their counterparts elsewhere, simply because of where they were born. College graduates face crushing debt, and families delay medical care because they can't afford it. Social mobility is dying, and the promise that each generation will do better than the last is fading. The American dream is now mostly inheritance. Wealth and opportunity are passed down, not earned, and the ladder to success is pulled up behind those who've already made it. For many, the idea that hard work alone can lead to prosperity is a myth. Economic fragility means millions are one crisis away from disaster. COVID proved it. When the pandemic hit, countless families found themselves without savings, jobs, or support. The shelves went empty, bills piled up, and the safety net was full of holes. The system's weaknesses were exposed for all to see. The left wants wealth taxes and a stronger safety net. They argue that only bold reforms can restore balance and give everyone a fair shot. Proposals include universal health care, tuition-free college, and higher taxes on the ultra-rich to fund public goods. The right wants more tax cuts. They believe that reducing taxes on businesses and individuals will spur growth and create jobs, arguing that a rising tide lifts all boats. Deregulation and free market solutions are their answer to inequality, but the system resists change. Those who benefit fund the politicians who keep it that way. Campaign finance and lobbying ensure that the status quo is fiercely protected, making meaningful reform an uphill battle. As Brandeis warned, we can have democracy or concentrated wealth, not both. The tension between these two forces is at the heart of our national struggle, and the choices we make now will shape the future for generations. Right now, we're testing that limit, and the results aren't pretty. The question is, will we find the courage to confront inequality, or will we allow it to define us? The answer will determine not just our economy, but the very soul of our democracy. So, that's America, divided, fighting over democracy's rules and sinking under inequality. It's tempting to tune out, but these issues shape our lives and our future. Staying informed is the bare minimum. Demand better. Push for change. What worries you most? See hope I missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this resonated, subscribe and join the conversation. We need it now more than ever. Thanks for watching.